I'm gonna take this out. So it's funny, John and I are so different because John likes to prepare all of it. I can't prepare any of it, right? I mean, I could, right? But for me, I'll get up and I'll sing 100 songs with no problem, but this always gets me a little more nervous because this is more intimate, right? And apparently I have problems with intimacy, so this is growth here to do this. So my name is Kat. I'm a woman in recovery from the disease of addiction. I'm going to start a timer so I don't go over, because I also have control issues. So, I'm the youngest child. My siblings were significantly older than me. They were 6 and 9 years older. So that gave me an experience like an only child. And my parents were both addicts, but my dad, Jesus had found him and he got clean before I was ever even born. My mom was like the opposite. So she was a party girl, and I remember growing up, there was a lot of parties, a lot of alcohol, a lot of bikers, and a lot of cards. So I didn't realize until I really got into step work that I had a hard time leaving this life behind because we have nostalgia for our childhood. And my childhood was, everything was a party, right? Every day was a good time, and I didn't realize how much of my identity was tied up in that, right? So it was almost mourning that part of me that I had to put to rest. I spent a lot of time with my mom as a kid, and I was familiar with Kensington, and, you know, this world was just something that was a part of my life. And under her, I would say, negligence, I was allowed to run wild, right? And so by the time I was 16, we were living in North Philly. I had dropped out of high school. I was running the streets. I was introduced to drugs at an early age. And at 16, I was groomed by my dealer, who was twice my age. And I spent about 1.5 years as his property, living in a trap house in North Philly. Abuse on every level. And I got out of it because the house actually got raided. So a few weeks shy of my 18th birthday, SWAT team came in, cleared everything out, and suddenly I found myself back at my mom's. I didn't know anything about PTSD. I didn't really know about therapy and things like that, so I just started drinking. And that was how I drowned things out. It was how I could go to sleep and not have nightmares at night. And for me, it really just became a way to cope with anything that I didn't feel like dealing with. And so I spent the early part of my 20s just heavy in alcoholism, and it's easier to hide, right? It was easy for me to hide because I come from a town of a lot of Irish people. So you wake up in your own vomit, and they're like, oh, she had a rough night, right? Like nobody's like, hey, she might have a problem. When I started to have kids was when I had to switch substances. And so when I started having kids, I couldn't drink anymore. And because I could stop at the drop of a hat, I started to think that, oh, I don't have a problem, right? Look, I quit just like this, because we look at the stopping, not the using, right? And so that became my pattern, right? You know me, I have 4 kids. They're all 2 years apart. So my pattern was start to get a little crazy, get pregnant, stop everything. And so where this really reached a head for me was where I got married to another addict. And he was not transparent about his history, and I was not transparent about mine. And when we found that out together and we were already married, it was gasoline on fire. And because we both had problems with intimacy, we couldn't communicate. And so drugs became that method that we used to make everything better. And we thought that we were getting closer and helping each other, and really we were just destroying each other. So we would go on these runs together that got progressively worse. And where my drugs of choice started with alcohol, and a couple prescription bills here and there, it ended with being addicted to crack cocaine and heroin. And so this was our MO, right? Stay up smoking crack and then do a little dope to come down. And that was our routine. And we lied for each other and we helped each other hide. And all of that reached a head about 3 years ago in spring of 2023 when I woke up to him dead from a fentanyl overdose. And so that was the start of my bottom. It wasn't all of it, but that was the start of my bottom, because now I kept using and I didn't have anybody to lie for me. I didn't have anybody to help me hide in this addiction. And so for about a year after that, I really struggled, right? I tried Suboxone, tried methadone, just could not get it. And where it reached a head was it was coming up to his anniversary. His anniversary being in April was always a rough time for me. And so it was the 1-year anniversary of his death. And I almost died a year nearly to the day that he did. And I woke up in Christiana Hospital from an overdose. And the fact that I woke up should have been amazing to me, but it wasn't. But I knew I needed to do something different. Now my family all knew. And so I started into recovery at that point 2 years ago. And really it was just to get everybody off my back, right? And I thought that I could get some time under my belt and that maybe I could just use once in a while. And so when I came into this process, I struggled through that first year. I didn't know how to surrender. I was already a believer, so Jesus wasn't an issue for me. Surrendering everything I had to him was an issue, which now that I look back in hindsight, it's kind of silly because I gave everything I had to my addiction, right? So it shouldn't have been that difficult to give everything to him, but it was. And so, I couldn't get more than a few months under my belt. And that was discouraging. And so I found myself last year, 2025, I had everything going for me. I was about to get my kids back. I was buying a new house, and I was heavy in a relapse. But I had found strength and recovery in the beginning of my recovery, and the people in there, like when you say they'll love you till you can love yourself, like I think it's an understatement. Like they'll get their hooks in you, and they don't let you go, right? And so when I tried everything myself, right? I was like, no, I'm going to do this myself. And a couple of conversations with people really changed my mind. And I remember sitting on the phone with Zach and telling him all the reasons why I couldn't go to treatment. And you have those conversations with Zach where he's right a lot, and it's kind of annoying in that moment. But he said something to me that I always held on to, where he said, Kat, you have one reason not to go, and it's because you don't want to. And I had to sit with that, and I had, my brother James telling me part of my issue was that I was in survival mode, right? And he said, God did not make you to survive, he made you to thrive. And when he said that to me, it really hit me, because I realized I was in survival mode my entire life, and I had no idea what it looked like to thrive, right? I was a believer for years, I had radical experiences with Jesus, and was still in survival mode. And so I said, okay, I didn't know it at the time, but working steps 1, 2, and 3, admitting that I was powerless over my addiction, that I needed help, and that I was ready to turn it over. And so doing all of that, I checked into treatment. I live in Pennsylvania, so I went to the Keystone Center. And I stayed there for about 3 weeks, and I hated every day of it. Every day I was like, that's it, I'm leaving, I don't want to be here. And one of my home group members said, you don't have to stay for 3 weeks. And I was like, yes, he's given me the okay to leave. No, he said, you just have to do it today. And when you get up tomorrow, then you just have to do it for today. And I was like, if you don't stop with this one day at a time thing, I do not like this, right? But they were absolutely right. And for me, that's the key to this program. I think the part that I was missing, because I know my husband died in his addiction because he believed all he needed was God. And it's not that we don't, but God works through people. Right? And if we don't surround ourselves with fellowship, if we don't surround ourselves with people who know him, that when we start to stumble, that they can grab us and pull us back up, right? I didn't fall flat on my face for all those times that I stumbled, because I have brothers and sisters in recovery that grabbed me and would not let me fall on my face. And if I did, I had one reason to fall on my face, and it was because I would want to, right? And who wants to fall flat on their face? So what it looks like today is my clean date is June 4th, 2025. So I have a little over 10 months under my belt for the first time, which feels really good, because now my anniversary being something that's way off, that I feel like I'll never get to, it's actually right around the corner. And we're actually starting to talk about what my anniversary is going to look like. And it's hard to believe, because I didn't think I would get there, right? Like I thought I was going to die with a needle in my arm. So when I can stand up here and go through this period of time, right? Because I mentioned April is a difficult month. My husband's anniversary was April 15th. And then 2 days after that, I lost my former mother-in-law, who was like a mother to me. And the crazy thing to me is that the first thing wasn't a drink or a drug in response to losing her. It was just being there for my kids. And it took me probably 36 hours to realize that my first thought was not ridiculously selfish. Which was progress for me. And so I have something that I want to read to you guys. It's something that I wrote while I was in treatment, and this is I call it my first moment of sanity. So one of the things that I used to do a lot before I was an active addict is I used to write a lot. a lot of poetry, a lot of songs. And for a very long time, I was not able to do that. And so when I didn't sleep while I was in treatment, I was always up. And so I woke up one night, 3:30 in the morning, and I just felt this. I just call it like a download because I don't feel like it's really me. I feel like it just kind of comes. And so I just sat there and I started writing. And it felt so good because it reminded me of the verse where it says that everything that the enemy took from you is going to be restored to you. And so this was one of the things that I was kind of blown away at because, I mean, I don't know, I'm 39. I think I hadn't written something in like 20 years maybe. So when I'm sitting there looking at this on paper, it's confirmation to me that God's word is always true no matter what the circumstances are. And so this makes me very uncomfortable because it feels very intimate, but I don't think that I get these things to keep them on a shelf and collect dust. I feel like I get them to share them with people. So I'm going to read this to you. This is my conversation with my addiction. So the first part of it is my addiction talking to me. And for context, remember I told you I didn't want to be there, right? I wanted to leave. And as I'm laying there right before I wrote this, I was thinking about leaving and getting high. And I was like, man, I don't have to be here. I'm not court ordered. Nobody's forcing me here. I can just go. And as I played that tape through of what that was going to really look like, that's when this came in, right? And I really feel like this was God giving me like a rock of a reminder of anytime you think about using, you go back and you read this and you remember that moment of clarity that was given to you. So this is my conversation with my addiction. Hello, my old friend. I'm back again. Remember me? My name's Heroin. I know you feel sad and I know you feel blue. Just hang out with me and I'll fix it for you. Oh, hey there, old friend. I want to come back. Do you remember me? My name is Crack. Together we make one dynamic duo. We know you love us, but we don't love you, though. I know you think we do because you always know where to find us. So come now, let's reason and put our past behind us. You exaggerate that last run. It wasn't so bad. Just sit for a moment. Remember the fun that we had? Tell you what, let's start over. It'll be different this time. You're better than before. Everything will be fine. You're making this out to be something it's not. It'll be just a few hits and a couple of shots. Just a sorry. We won't bother you tomorrow. It's just for today. So will you come back and find us? Will you come out and play? Just a little reunion between some old friends. So what do you say? Will you come back again? And this is my response. Yes, of course, I remember you both very well. So let me start off by saying you can both go to hell. Because that's where you came from, and that's where you can return. But you won't drag me there with you, because there's some things that I've learned. In all of that game you just spun, only one thing was true. You never loved me the same way I loved you. You know what your problem is, besides all your lies? No matter how much I give you, you're never satisfied. Since the first day I let you walk in through that door, you only said one word to me, and that one word was more. I did everything that you told me. I gave, and you stood by and you laughed while I dug my own grave. You just won a few times. You just want me to hold you. See, I can't do that because I can't control you. I know you want me to lie and you want me to hide all of the things that I'm feeling inside, but I know now it's not about the drug, that you're just a disease. And you can no longer come and go as you please. I understand now the only way to defeat you is to admit that by myself, I can't beat you. The other lie you kept telling that we'll get clean tomorrow, like it was some time bank from which I could borrow, I woke up from that lie, some way and somehow. Now I know all I really have is right here and right now. Tomorrow never comes, it turns into today, and my present moments are too precious to keep giving away. I have an army behind me, and you know what they say? That I don't have to use, and that it's just for today. So with that, we'll say goodbye now, and parting isn't sweet sorrow, but maybe, just maybe, we can catch up tomorrow. Thank you guys.